in Japan, carrier mobile network company is a very strong positions like T-Mobile or Sprint, AT&T, and Verizon in Japan. And we tie up with the KDDI because KDDI and other mobile carrier companies see the drone as a next flying smartphone. So they want to put IoT SIM card to them to operate.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 311. What are Terra Drones' plans for inspections and UTM? For that question, we head to Japan to speak with Teppei Seki, Chief Operating Officer at Terra Drone. Terra Drone is a leading commercial drone services company with headquarters in Japan and a presence in more than 20 countries. The company provides innovative drone solutions like aerial surveys, infrastructure inspection, thermal mapping, and UAV data processing for a wide variety of industries. Teppei joined Terra Drone in 2016, after 10 years with parent company Terra Motors, one of Japan's leading electric vehicle manufacturers. Terra Drone's worldwide operations are huge, much more than I can cover in a single podcast. So in this edition of the Drone Radio Show, we focus on Terra Drone's recently announced plan to provide automated inspections and air mobility solutions to INPEX, a leading energy company in Asia. We compare Asian and European markets, and we touch upon Terra Drone as a provider of UTM solutions. But before we hear from Teppei, I want to thank those of you who are supporting my funding campaign. Whether it's $1, $100, or much more, you can help defray the cost of production and keep the podcast going and growing. Go to droneradioshow.com/donate. So let's learn about Terra Drone's intelligent drone plan with Teppei Seki. Let's pick up the interview where I asked Teppei to introduce himself.
I'm Teppei Seki from Terra Drone Corporations, and I'm COO and director of this company. We have a company called Terra Motors. And I was a founding member of the Terra Motors, which making the electric vehicle in Asian countries, APEC and India. And after that, we started a company called Terra Drone in 2016. Now I'm heading the entire operation. So we have a subsidiary company in mainly the Europe and the Southeast Asia right now, and then of course in Japan.
Why did the company decide to spin off and create a new company around the drone industry?
When we found the company like Terra Motors, our vision is to create new technology to the industry. We found the company 2010, and we are kind of delayed in the global market because there is a Tesla 2003 and other Chinese company. It's already there. So we need to more focus on like the electric two-wheelers and three-wheelers in Asian countries. But at 2050 or 2040, the drone is not that big market. Everybody thinks that's just a toy. And then we come to realize that when we focus on the industrial side and the service and the software, we think we can make a global company in the drone industry. And then we start Terra Drone.
What are the key services that Terra Drone provides?
Terra Drone is a kind of global service provider and a software company. So when we found the company, we focused on these services and then also POC for the big company in Japan. And after that, 2017, 2018, we expand our global network and mainly focus on the services first. And recent years, due to the COVID-19 and then talking to the investor, we focus on some area, which is one is the location, Japan and then Europe, and then also APAC, Southeast Asia. And the second, we changed the business model because everybody getting understanding how the drone help their work. And we focus on currently B2B software as a services and hardware. And then also we focus on the UTM solutions because we are a major shareholder of the Unifly. They are European UTM service provider.
We're going to talk about UTM in a few minutes, but before we do, I recently saw an announcement about Terra Drone's intelligent drone plan. What is that all about?
First of all, as I said, we focus on the currently B2B software and the hardware. And our major focus industry is the constructions and the oil, utility and the oil and gas. And INPEX is the Japanese number one oil and gas company. In Japan, big oil and gas or infrastructure company start think about, in a way, like a digital transformations. And they want to digitize the asset. And then drone is the best tool to digitize their asset. So INPEX called us and start this plan.
The work that you're doing for Apex, is it primarily inspections of their assets?
Yeah, inspection and also including like gas detections. And then also we do the quantifications also. And then also we have NDT, like a visual inspection is a kind of easy. We use drone or kind of flyability to do the visual inspections. And then we're a subsidiary company in Netherlands. They do the so-called ultrasonic testing. We call it UT drone. Their company called Terra Inspectioneering, formerly called Lonic. Netherlands, there's many downstream tank in their port. And we transfer this technology to INPEX because like a same customer paying. So we generally do the inspection, yes. And we have our original technology to them.
How often are you flying for Apex?
Periodic right now. And then in Japanese inspection drone industry as a whole, because their infrastructure is pretty old, and then they start thinking about drastically change the inspection standard. So they easily set the inspection standard like once to 10 years or something. But government start investing the money to like a bridge or government infrastructure mainly to change their inspection standard. I mean, more frequent inspection is necessary based on the conditions. And then to understand the conditions, they want to use a drone to understand the current asset status.
There are many companies that do inspections of assets. What makes Terra Drone different?
We have a global company. As a subsidiary, we have 7 companies. So we have each industry's deep knowledge. So we know the customer pain. In Japan in particular, even we are based in Japan company, and then oil and gas industry is not that strong comparing to the US, Houston. Anyway, I was in Houston 2 years back, and Europe. But we have a company in Europe, and we used to have a company in Houston. So we learned their knowledge. Same thing, like in Japan, the drone usage in construction is moving ahead. So because we have a Komatsu. So that's why Skycatch and Kisspray, Skycatch mainly worked with the Komatsu and then doing the project in Japan. But we have been 3D construction project in 2060. So we have expanded this knowledge to the Europe and the other countries. So that's the one. And the second thing is like first move advantage. So we do the more services from 2016 and 2050, and we have total like several thousand projects so far in the many industry. So we knew that the customer pain. So based on this customer pain point, we develop our own hardware, mainly the software. So that's why we can provide a different value proposition to the oil and gas and utility company.
Are there other industries that could benefit from the same service that you provide to Apex?
We set the strategy as a 3-phase. One is a service provider to get into the customer. We say service lock-in. And the second thing is like to deep vertical B2B software as a service model with a unique hardware as a phase 2. Based on this data, we do the deep learning and we transfer this software to the other industry. For example, like a Terra Inspectioneering, the UT drone inspection company mainly focus on the oil and gas tank inspection. But now we expand this software to the other boiler or other food industry and the chemical industry factory inspection.
You mentioned a couple of times the unique hardware. What are you referring to?
The one is like a LiDAR system for the constructions. And the second thing is like a UT drone Terra Inspectioneering hardware for oil and gas. So Terra LiDAR system is like we used to buy from the other scanning company, like maybe Euroscan or Phoenix or other companies come in. And we used to be a very big service provider for the LiDAR scanner services. And we start investing in R&D and developing our own LiDAR system. our rider system is different from the other rider system because we don't use IMU. It's a technical word, but we realize that the other company put the GNSS and IMU put together, and then to break down for the original cost, and IMU is very high. So we put the 6 GNSS to fly stable and without IMU. So that's the one unique hardware.
Tell us more about the LiDAR business.
LiDAR businesses, we mainly focus on the Japan market. We are 50% of the market share last years. So we provide the hardware and the software. Mainly like a current LiDAR market, it's getting cheaper, but it's still like at 150,000 US dollars maybe in the US. And we are selling around 50 to 40,000 US dollars is a hardware. But we are not much expecting the profit from the hardware itself. And we selling with a software. Software is basically annual plan to the end users. Because as a service provider, we knew that drone rider services analyze is difficult. So we need to generate a point cloud, and we do several analyze and filtering and then distractions. And we need to make also mosaic from there. So our software can do most of the analyze. So we change our strategy. We selling the hardware cheaper, and we charge the customer to the software.
Let's turn to UTM. What does Terra Drone do in that sector?
We have 2 separate views. I mean, one is as an investor of the Unify, and one is the Terra Drone itself. Terra Drone itself, we mainly developed the UTM solution and the flight operation system to the Japanese government. In Japan, carrier mobile network company is a very strong positions like T-Mobile or Sprint, AT&T, and Verizon in Japan. And we tie up with the KDDI because KDDI and other mobile carrier companies see the drone as a next flying smartphone. So they want to put IoT SIM card to them to operate. So in Japan, mainly those mobile carrier company is heading the lead. So currently we are working with the KDDI, which is number 2 mobile company in Japan. And then they are doing many applications for logistics or disaster management. And we are helping to them operation-wise and then development-wise. And Japan 2020 BBROS is getting approved. So now government start ease the regulation so far.
What are some of the challenges for Terra Drone in growing their business today?
First was businesses is growing, and also we don't have necessary human resource. Simply, that's the one. But a more external environment in a way is that I was in the US 1 year back, and currently I'm in Japan. The customer technology understanding and aggressive level is different. So the businesses in Japan, like for example, like a super major company in the Houston, like let's say Shell or other BP or other company is very aggressive to accept the new technology to reduce the capex and opex and then to increase the safety standard. But in Japan, they are a bit delayed and a very conservatism. So it's a kind of difficult to provide the technologies in a rapid way, in a startup way. That's the one of the challenge. But understanding level is getting high, and it's a now trend. We call it DX. It's like a digital transformation. So big companies start realizing that we need to do some kind of DX. And then so they kind of put some of the budget to use the drone.
In general, do people in Japan see drones as a positive technology?
It's very positive. And I think we have many, like in the global operations. So in Japan, comparing to the US and other countries, regulation is not that strict. And people is getting understand how the drone can help their work. So it's currently okay. But US, like drone usage is getting ahead, like a Google Wing, now it's Wing. It's start doing the logistics, so they are moving ahead. So that's why the quality of the issue or customer concern is a bit different, I guess.
I thought I read something about Terra Drone in air taxis. Is the company pursuing that type of technology?
We don't do so much air taxi, but we are very aggressive in terms of the UTM side. Like hardware, it's a bit difficult and not core focuses. But we are start talking to some of the urban air taxi company in Japan, the global, from the UTM side. Because definitely air taxi needs to the control, and then that's more bigger than obviously the UAV. So from the UTM side, we are very excited. And actually Unifly is communicating with the borocopters. So urban air mobility, as you know, it's kind of a trend, right? Especially in the US. These 1 month, there's many fundraising news, like a borocopter and other company. And then there is SPAC model to the IPO for the several company in the US. So it's now trendy.
So what you're saying is that Terra Drone is working on the software management side, not necessarily the flight taxis themselves.
Yes, so that's the one of the, I like the vision of the Unifly. Unifly is trying to manage the gap between ATM, which is existing control system, and a UTM. So urban air mobility is just in the middle of the ATM and the UTM. So that's why I think Unifly and then our Terra UTM can help how to manage the drone and then air taxis.
Is there anything that we missed that we should talk about?
As you know, like construction companies are one, that's our beginning industry, and we provide a hardware B2B SaaS model, and then now currently inspection for the oil and gas and the utility. Third things is like UTM, and then there is not much news about us about the logistics, but we do the logistics project in Japan, and we can do some of the press releases in English very soon. But in Japan, we tie up with JAL and the KDDI. JAL is like American Airways and United Airways in Japan. So we closely work with JAL for the logistic project.
You've been with the company about 5 years. What have the last 5 years taught you about the drone industry?
Drone industry is, I'd say, up and down, and it's not easy. In short, I mean, if there's like drone is trend or something, and then sometimes like it's dangerous or something. In Japan, at least, it's getting more attention, but drone service provider is getting decreased or something. So very it's up and down. But in general, we see the very drone is getting into the world. I mean, drone is getting like a commoditized, and then now it's a next stage. How do you use the drone to get a data, or how do you analyze the data? So in the drone industry or in the new tech industry, we need to change and then transform every year or every quarter.
What advice would you offer to other entrepreneurs?
The important thing, like as I said, like in the new industry, even if not in the drone industry, their customer and the customer understanding and the new technology is changing rapidly. So we need to see that the product very carefully and then to talk to the customer very carefully, and then we change drastically. Otherwise, it's very difficult in this industry.
What are the future plans for Terra Drone?
We need to change the business model from the service model to software and the UTM company. So that's our plan to focus on. And then after that, we see that some of the growth application expansion, which is logistics and then urban air mobility. Also in EU, they start formalizing the EU registrations. And in Japan, there's some move in the regulations, and the US also. So 2021 and 2022 is a very big year for the drone industry. So I'm very excited to see that.
Comparing the European market and the Asian market, which one seems to offer the most opportunities?
Europe is a kind of trying to formalize the regulations. So regulation-wise, we see the Europe very carefree. But in Japan, in one country's industrial size, I mean, the oil and gas and then utilities are very big. So revenue-wise, we expect more in Japan. And then other Asian countries, their regulation is not that there. So BB-ROS is a kind of okay. So that's why we taking the risk to operate BB-ROS. And we have experience there in Asian countries, yeah.
Do you have any plans to enter the US market?
Yeah, that's also my company's motivation to start the businesses in the US. Currently, we have several outside investors, so we are discussing the US go-to-market plan.
And for my final question, Teppei, what message would you like to leave regarding Terra Drone and the drone industry?
Terra Drone, we have global operations and also the software company and the UTM. So our strong point is that we do the services and we know the customer understanding, and also we know the UTM. And then, as I said, also just this year and the next year is regulation in global is changing drastically. So we are trying to commit to manage the drone in a safe way, and then we want to expand drone usage to the industry to people value.
That's it for episode 311 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Teppei Seki of Terra Drone. I want to thank Teppei for taking the time to speak with me. If you want to learn more about Terra Drone or want to connect with Teppei, check out the website at terra-drone.net. If you like the Drone Radio Show, please consider supporting the podcast with a small donation. The content is always free, but for as little as $1, you can help defray the cost of production. To donate, go to droneradioshow.com/donate. And thanks for listening. Your support means a lot to me, and I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Goers.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.